I told some of the women in my group, I'm working with all men, and my last team, I was one of 15 people and the only female, and having a baby and then coming back to work and having to pump at work, right? I work in a drilling environment where we have a set schedule, but it's always these impromptu meetings, and there's one place that I can go to pump and it's booked up by other, nursing moms. So all the time I was having to excuse myself from meetings because I had to go pump, right? And then I'd call into the meeting from there while pumping. And I'm like, guys, I'm really sorry, but we're 45 minutes over and I have to go pump. And I said it all the time because I was the only one, doing that. I didn't have any other examples to follow by. But thank goodness for like these men that, some of them, not all of them, that are saying like, you are ridiculous for saying sorry. Like, please go. Like, the fact that you're even calling in while pumping is like, but I'm like, I'm going to do that. I'm committed to my work. But I had this incessant feeling because I'm a new mom and the only woman and the only mom with a newborn at home. And so all these unique circumstances for me compared to my coworkers, that it was hard because I couldn't, nobody else is taking pump breaks or fretting about, their infant at home right away. Like, so it was really challenging for me, but I felt really supported by a few of the men on my team that stood up for me a lot of those times.
So I know this is a bit of a side note, Tricia, but Juliana, so I had my first son a year and a half ago, and I read a book about going back to work and pumping, and one really great piece of advice. And so for when this comes up in the distant future, potentially for some of you, I took the advice of the book. It said, when you get back, sit down with your colleagues, mine are all men, and tell them, I will be going to pump and I will be pumping during meetings, but I'll be there, I'll be participating. I thought it was going to be the most uncomfortable, awkward. It was not. They were so supportive. They all, turns out, have wives, had kids, and were and understood, it's not a weird thing. It just is a thing. Go do it.
Totally. And that was the thing, is nobody was making me feel like, nobody said anything about it, painted me in any kind of bad light. It was just this like, I'm not doing the same things you guys are doing, and I feel this guilt. And so I'm saying I'm sorry, but I'm really not sorry because I'm going to do it anyways. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I would have felt that way if I hadn't had that conversation. They 100% were like, no, all good.
What is Milk Stork? So it's a company that provides safe, cooled transportation for your breast milk from all over the world to be shipped home. I haven't utilized it. It's a company that has seen that need for working mothers and offers those services. And I'm sure some other companies do it as well. But Chevron, as she was just saying, Chevron recently, I think last year, that became part of our health benefit, where they cover those expenses for us as working moms. So I worked offshore for 5 years before having a baby. And I remember thinking out there, like, what would I do? So, and you can get creative with shipping stuff back in coolers and hot shotting it back to Houston. But the fact that the company did that was really an awesome move, in my opinion. I've looked into doing it on a personal basis for people donating breast milk. My sister-in-law has triplets, and I was looking to unstash my freezer storage of it. But it's expensive to do on your own dime. But anyways, a really, really great business model, and what an awesome thing to support breastfeeding for working and traveling moms.
Yeah, 3M also partners with Milk Stork, and I didn't expect that we would have that benefit, and we do. So my advice, again, probably not in the near term for the students, but take a look at all of the policies, all of the potential things you can take advantage of when you do enter the workforce.
We don't necessarily talk about these topics, right? Mm-hmm. And like for my company, we, I don't have any children, but I know where all the lactation rooms are, so I can tell moms where they're at, what services they can use there. But it's not a common theme that when we're in a room with 25 other men that we're willing to have. And why not? It's who we are as women. Or a man may have to store milk for his wife at work, right? If she's running an errand and she had to come by, hey, can you store this for me, right? Because I can't get home or do something. Giving him the capability and the tools to be able to go help support his wife or his partner.
Yep.
I'm about to have my baby soon, so all of this conversation is just really helpful.
There you go.
Tricia, by the way, you are, I can tell you're the person who says sorry, because if that happened to me, I would cry just because of the milk spilled. I wouldn't really care about what happened.
The milk didn't spill. It was the melting
Oh, it
ice.
was the milk.
Yeah, this is when you could take everything on the airplane because I'm old. And so I had a cooler with all the milk. I mean, I saved every bit of it because it's like gold. And it was in a cooler in an overhead bin. And I was like halfway through the flight. And this guy's like, what is dripping? And as soon as he did that, I was like, oh my God, I know what it is. And someone just came and they're like, oh, well, we'll just, the flight attendant, like they just put up towels or something up there. And I didn't say a word. I was just like, I didn't say a word. I was like, I don't know whose cooler that is. I don't know what's happening. But I totally knew what was happening.
I mentioned that I had looked into using Milk Stork for my own personal use to bring milk from Houston to Seattle. And when I saw how expensive it was, I said, you know what, I can manage this myself with it staying frozen. So I packed like an Osprey hiking pack full of frozen ice packs and all of my frozen breast milk, like 50 bags of it. And so I had my hiking pack on that I was going to use as my carry-on. And I go through security and the guy's like, ma'am, is this your bag? I'm like, God, of course this would happen. And they're like, yeah, we're going to need to inspect it. I'm like, it's all breast milk. And the look he gave me was like, and I'm like, I promise, it's just bag after bag after bag of frozen breast milk. He's like, okay, just the most uncomfortable bag inspection as he's like dumping it all out. Like, oh man, but I got it there successfully. So
FYI, breast milk and breast pumping equipment does not count towards your carry-on, and it can be in liquid form if you need. So make sure that.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
It has been.
Frozen, but...
Yeah, it's been semi-vague and different interpretations. So I know there's been a lot of horror stories around traveling with breast milk and pumping equipment, but that is the TSA law or rule that does actually not count towards your carry-on.
Oh my
I see
goodness.
Sonia's taking mental notes.
Yeah.
Y'all are awesome.